Rule 5. Build completion momentum. Most people walk around with dozens of open loops, unfinished tasks, vague plans, halfway commitments. And every one of those open loops drains your energy. Every one of them leaks your power because your brain keeps track. Your nervous system remembers, and the more incomplete you are, the heavier you feel. You don't need more things to do, you need more things finished, closed, executed, complete, because completion creates clarity. Completion builds confidence. Completion is the ultimate proof that you are who you say you are. Not someone who just starts things, but someone who follows through, someone who finishes. This is what separates high performers from those who stay stuck in motion. They have mastered the ability to decide, act, and finish. Not perfectly, not always elegantly, but completely. Because unfinished is a weight, and you cannot run at full speed while dragging anchors behind you. You make this a daily priority. You scan your environment for open loops, the emails unsent, the decision you've been avoiding, the small task you keep moving to the next day's list. And you attack them. One by one, quickly, without emotion. You're not waiting for the perfect time. You clear it, you close it, and you move on. Not because the task is glamorous, but because clearing the mental clutter makes you sharper and rebuilds your power. Procrastination feels like relief in the moment, but it's really a form of debt, mental, emotional, and executional debt. The longer it sits there, the more the interest compounds, and the more it feeds the identity that says, "I don't finish what I start." But when you start stacking completions, fast, focused, decisive, you change that story. You begin to see yourself as someone who closes the loop. It doesn't matter how small the task is. Every time you complete something, you send a signal of integrity to yourself. And the more completions you stack, the more your confidence builds, because you are proving to yourself, over and over again, that you can be trusted. You are a finisher, and that is a powerful identity to own. Rule 6. Build completion momentum. Think about the feeling of a cluttered room for a moment. Now, imagine that same clutter inside your mind. Dozens of unfinished tasks, vague plans, half-hearted commitments, and open loops. Every single one of them drains a little bit of your energy. Every one of them leaks power because your brain keeps track of it all. Your nervous system remembers every promise you've left hanging, and the more incomplete you are, the heavier you feel. You don't need more things to do, you need more things finished, closed, executed, complete, because completion creates a cascade of positive effects. Completion creates clarity. Completion builds confidence. Completion is tangible, undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Not just someone who starts, not someone who talks, but someone who follows through. Someone who finishes. One by one, you close the loops. Done, done, done. That rhythm builds something deep inside you, a feeling most people never get to experience. It's that satisfying click, that sense of being in the groove, that feeling of clean, uncluttered clarity. And once you feel it, you want more of it. Why? Because it's clean, because it's powerful, because now your attention is no longer divided. You're not being pulled in 10 different directions. You're not subconsciously avoiding anything. You are current. You are clear. You are finally available to go deep into the work that truly matters. This doesn't mean you never take on long projects, or that everything must be finished in a single day. But even the biggest, most audacious goals can be broken down into smaller chunks, into wins, into pieces you can finish today. Finishing is a muscle, and the more you train it, the more unstoppable you become. You don't want a wall of half-built progress. You want to look behind you and see a clear path of completed steps. You want to see action, evidence, and momentum, not just ideas, good intentions, or half-hearted attempts. You want to see real, tangible movement. The people around you will notice, because in a world of unreliability, you will stand out. Most people say yes and never show up. They talk big and deliver small, but you're different. You do what you say. You finish what you start. You follow through even when no one is watching. That kind of reputation, that kind of consistency, compounds in every area of your life. In your business, in your body, in your relationships, and most importantly, in your own self-trust. You've removed the drag, you've eliminated the static. Your energy is finally clean. So, make this your rule. Build completion momentum every single day. Identify the open loops and close them. Be small, fast, and focused. Train yourself to finish. Not perfectly, not forever, but fully. Enough to move, enough to lighten the load, and enough to reinforce the powerful identity that says, I don't leave things undone. Rule 7. Train before you perform. Most people start their day in immediate performance mode. They wake up and instantly step onto the field of life, expecting to execute, solve, produce, and lead without ever taking the time to warm up. Then, they wonder why their decisions feel off, why their focus is scattered, and why their emotions are so fragile. They've skipped the most important part, preparation. You would never expect an athlete to sprint onto the field cold and dominate the game. So, why would you expect that of yourself? You must train every day, and not just your body. You must train your mind, your state, and your nervous system. Because, if you don't train it intentionally, it will be trained accidentally. By stress, by urgency, by distraction, by noise. And those things do not build performance, they drain it. Carve out the space every single morning to train before you play. You don't just roll out of bed and into your tasks without first getting centered, without clearing the static, without reminding your system who is in charge. This isn't about having more time. It's about taking control of your energy before anything external gets a vote. That training doesn't have to be complex, but it has to be yours. It could be movement, breathwork, reading, writing, or visualization, anything that sends a clear signal to your brain. We are not reacting today, we are building. That transition, that conscious shift in state, is what prepares you to go from being emotional to being intentional, from scattered to locked in. You don't wait for the day to warm you up. You warm yourself up. You get into position. You calibrate your thoughts. You remind yourself of your standards. You get your blood moving. You break the grip of sleep, of comfort, of mental noise, and you rise into the version of you that is here to execute. You build non-negotiable rituals around this, and you don't skip them just because the day is busy, especially not then. The busier the day, the more valuable the training, the more pressure you're under in reps with clear boundaries. This is how professionals separate themselves. They don't just show up and hope for the best. They prepare every single day. The repetition, the alignment, the return to focus. It's not about motivation. It's about conditioning. When this becomes automatic, you move into every task already in rhythm, already dialed in, already present. Whether it's for 10 minutes or 60 is not the point. The point is that you never skip the inner work, the sharpening, the adjustment, the reset. You do it daily, relentlessly and quietly, and it makes you lethal. You are no longer showing up on accident. You are entering the day with fire, with clarity, with muscle memory. Training before you perform isn't a luxury or a bonus. It's a requirement for winning in a world that's moving this fast. Rule 8. Set the standard, then raise it. Most people are waiting. They're waiting to be told what's expected of them, waiting for permission, waiting for someone else to define the bar. That's not how you lead. That's not how you win. You don't operate based on what's expected of you. You operate based on what you demand from yourself. Your standard is not a goal you hit once and then you're done. It's the baseline. It's what's normal for you. It's how you operate when nobody's watching, and it's what you do even when the world tells you that what you've done is good enough. For most people, the standard is survival, comfort, average. That's why they never build anything truly remarkable. You decide what your standard is, and you install it daily through your actions, your language, and the way you show up in the smallest things. Because the small things always become the big things. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. If you're sloppy in your habits, you'll be sloppy in your vision. If you cut corners when no one sees, you'll break under pressure when it counts. So, you set the standard and then you raise it. You decide that the version of you from last month isn't good enough anymore. You consciously outgrow your own behavior. You upgrade your discipline. You audit your patterns not from a place of shame, but from a place of power, because you know you've got more in you, and you're not waiting for a crisis to prove it. This is where most people plateau. They get some momentum, they see some results, and they ease off. They start coasting, and then they start slipping, because they mistake progress for permission to relax. But if you want to win every day, you don't coast on what you've already done. You show up with the hunger of someone who hasn't accomplished anything yet. That hunger isn't desperation, it's clarity. It's knowing that growth isn't a moment in time, it's a way of life. The moment you raise your own baseline, people feel it. They either adjust to meet you or they fall away. Either way, you keep rising. You don't need to announce your new standard, you just live it. It speaks for you. It tells the room, I'm not here to blend in. I'm not here to match your energy. I'm here to raise it. When you hold that line, especially on the hard days, you separate yourself. Not because you're inherently better, but because you've decided that good enough isn't for you. That just okay is a trap. That what used to be impressive is now simply your unacceptable minimum. That mindset, that way of living, makes you powerful, magnetic, and rare. Rule 9. Move your body with purpose. You are not just a mind trying to stay sharp. You are a complete, integrated system. If your body is neglected, your energy will be fractured. If your body is stagnant, your mind will inevitably follow. This isn't about aesthetics or performance metrics. It's about state control. Your body is the fastest path to changing your mental and emotional state. Do you want to shift from stress to clarity? Move. Do you want to shift from anxiety to confidence? Move. Do you want to shift from hesitation to aggression? Move. Motion is what breaks stuck mental loops. Most people live from the neck up, disconnected and tense. They sit all day, they watch all day, they tense their jaw and shoulders, they hold their breath. And then they wonder why they can't think clearly or focus. They forgot they have a body, but when you move, when you walk, train, stretch or breathe deeply, you shake the rust off. You turn the power back on. You don't just get blood flowing, you get belief flowing. You send a signal, we're not stuck, we're not soft, we're here. You don't wait to feel ready. You move first because motion creates energy. Energy creates clarity. And clarity makes every decision easier. That's why this is a rule. It's your shortcut to momentum. Some days that means lifting heavy. Some days it means a long walk. Some days it just means stretching with music on. It's not about the intensity. It's about the frequency and the consistency. It's about choosing motion over stillness, because stillness for too long becomes stagnation, and stagnation always breeds self-doubt. When everything else feels loud and chaotic, your body can anchor you. When your mind wants to quit, your trained body can carry you through. This isn't optional, it is essential. Rule 10. Finish strong no matter how the day started. You must learn to finish strong. You don't need a perfect morning to own the rest of the day. You don't need ideal conditions to close the gap between where you are and what still needs to get done. What you need is the discipline to end the day with intention, with focus, with fire. Most people let the beginning of their day dictate the ending. If it started rough, they carry that negative energy all the way to the finish line. If they slipped up, they spiral. If they got behind, they stop trying altogether and throw the rest of the day away as if it doesn't count. But it all counts. The day is not over until you say it is. You don't quit just because the first half didn't go as planned. You regroup, you breathe, you recalibrate. You say, okay, that happened. Now what needs to get done? You don't live in the past replaying your missteps. You recover fast, take ownership, and you finish. Strong finishers build strong lives. Anyone can start with energy, but the ones who lead, the ones who separate themselves, are the ones who finish strong, day in and day out. This creates powerful emotional momentum. When you know the day didn't go perfectly, but you still chose to lead, when you know you slipped, but you refused to fold, when you know you didn't let comfort win the second half, that feeling is power. It's identity reinforcement. You are no longer someone who is only consistent when the conditions are perfect. You are someone who knows how to recover. Create an evening rhythm, reset your space, review your day honestly without emotion and learn from it. Then, wind down on purpose. Don't crash into the end of the day, close it with intention. Don't numb yourself with noise, create quiet. Allow your mind to recover, process, and integrate. Because tomorrow's win starts with tonight's reset. This is the rule: finish strong, always. No matter how the day started, you lead yourself back. You return to center, you take ownership, and you close it out with focus, integrity, and zero hesitation. You don't need a perfect life to win. You need a decision, a standard, and the discipline to enforce it daily. Because winning is not an event, it's a rhythm. It's how you move through your hours. It's how you show up for yourself, not once in a while, but every single day. So many people are waiting. They're waiting for something external to validate them. The promotion, the praise, the finished product. But that's not how it works, is it? You don't wait for a result to finally feel like a winner. You start creating results because you decide to act like one, right now. The way you show up in the quiet, unseen hours of the morning, the way you lead yourself before anyone else is watching, the way you command the moments that no one will ever applaud you for, those are the moments that define whether you win the day or let it slip through your fingers. This isn't magic. It's not some grand mystery. It's structure, it's discipline, it's repetition. You win the day by building it from the ground up, by installing a set of rules. Not someone else's rules, yours. Rules that remind you who you are and what you're here to build. Rules that hold you accountable when your motivation fades. Rules that grant you power when you feel powerless. Rules that do not bend when your mood does. Because let's be honest, if you don't live by a set of personal rules, you live by reaction. You let the world's noise control your focus. You let fleeting emotions dictate your discipline. You let other people's energy leak into your purpose, and you begin to drift. You fall out of rhythm. You forget the promises you made to yourself. Every single day, life will try to pull you off course. Distractions, the seductive pull of comfort, resistance, the nagging voice of self. Doubt, they will all show up for their shift. And if you don't have a standard to return to, if you don't have a core set of principles that anchor you, it is terrifyingly easy to slip. You don't even notice it at first. It starts with one missed habit, one delayed task, one small compromise, then another and another. And soon, without ever making a conscious decision, you've lost the day. Winning the day doesn't mean everything goes perfectly. It doesn't mean you feel incredible from dawn till dusk. or that the conditions are ideal. It means that no matter what comes at you, you show up the same way, with precision, with intention, with command. That is how you stack wins. That is how you build unshakable confidence. That is how you train your nervous system to expect momentum, not as a happy surprise, but as your default state of being. You don't need to completely overhaul your life to win the day. You just need to make a few core decisions, install a few non-negotiables, and then refuse to break them for anyone, especially yourself. These rules aren't complicated. They are simple, but they are not optional. And the more consistently you follow them, the more powerful you become. Because discipline compounds, focus compounds, integrity compounds. You build your day with decisions. You reinforce it with habits. You secure it with standards. And once that system is locked in, your energy stops leaking. Your clarity sharpens. Your execution speeds up. And your confidence finally catches up to your true potential. This is how you win, not someday, now, not when life feels perfect, but when you decide to lead it regardless. Rule 1. Own the morning or the day owns you. The entire tone of your day is set before the world even gets a chance to touch you. Before a single phone call, before a single email, before any external demand reaches you, your internal system is either grounded and in command, or it's exposed and vulnerable. You do not start your day by reacting, you start it by commanding. If you begin your day in a state of chaos, everything that follows will echo that frantic noise. If your first moments are rushed, distracted, and aimless, you've already lost your edge. You've surrendered your control. You have already sent a clear signal to your nervous system, we're not in charge here. And that pattern will repeat itself all day long. The first move of the day belongs to you, or it belongs to your excuses. It belongs to your clarity, or it belongs to your confusion. It belongs to your standard, or it belongs to your cravings. Once you open that first door, your behavior for the rest of the day will dutifully follow. This is why this isn't just about habits, it's about signals. Every action sends a message. So, you don't wake up and turn on the news. You don't wake up and scroll through the curated lives of others. You don't start the day on defense. You start it on offense. With stillness, with breath, with a clear decision. You get up when you said you would. You do not negotiate with the alarm clock. That 5-minute negotiation is a loss. You don't delay your first win of the day. Discipline begins in that single, silent moment where comfort begs you for just one more minute. You override it. You stand up, not because it's easy, but because that is your first rep. That is the first signal to your mind and body that we move when we say we will move. We don't wait for motivation. We don't need to feel perfect. We move anyway. Then, you go internal before you take in any external input. You create your own output first. You decide who you are going to be today. You remind yourself of what you are building. You write it down, you breathe, you repeat your standard. You declare it out loud not because it's a magic trick, but because it's structural. You are building direction. You are locking in your intention. You are reinforcing your identity. You don't guess what the day will be. You don't hope it will be good. You choose. That is the difference. That is the win. When most people are floating aimlessly into their day, you are walking into it like it belongs to you. Like it owes you something. Like you are here to extract value from every single hour. Because you are. This isn't about being a morning person. It's about being a leader, and a leader doesn't drift. A leader doesn't wander into the day without a strategy. A leader owns the first hour so that the rest of the hours fall in line. That is how momentum is built. Not with hype, but with structure, with clarity, with follow through. Rule 2. Dominate your first hard decision. Every single day, there's a moment. It often arrives early, and it's quiet and subtle. It's the moment that resistance shows up. You know the feeling, that tension in your chest when it's time to begin, that friction between what you want long term and what feels so much easier right now. How you respond to that single moment will determine the entire tone of your day. Most people hesitate. They stall, they delay, they negotiate with resistance, maybe in 5 minutes. Maybe after I check this one thing. Maybe once I feel ready. But every second you hesitate, resistance gains power. Every second you wait, doubt grows louder. And every second you delay, you reinforce the crippling habit of hesitation. If you want to win the day, you flip that script. You train yourself to hunt for that first hard decision. You move toward it. You get to it early, and you dominate it with speed and certainty. Not because it's convenient, but because it's foundational. That first hard decision isn't just a detail on your to-do list. It's the hinge that swings the whole door. It could be the workout you're dreading. It could be sitting down to do 2 hours of focused, deep work. It could be making the phone call that makes your stomach turn. The writing, the studying, the one thing you know matters but that your body is physically resisting. That's the one, that's the dragon, and the rule is simple: slay it first, no debate, no drama, no delay. Because when you slay it, you send a powerful signal to your mind that you are not run by comfort. You are not directed by emotion. You are not governed by the easy road. You are here to lead. You are here to move. You are here to execute. And that signal becomes momentum. You want confidence. Do the thing you're avoiding. You want discipline. Take action before you feel ready. You want clarity. Get moving while everyone else is still stalling. That's the code. Speed over hesitation. Movement over emotion. This isn't about crushing yourself or demanding perfection. It's about breaking the pattern of delay. You don't need to be at 100% capacity. You just need to make the first move. Once you begin, momentum does the rest of the work. Once you start, doubt begins to die. Once you go, your nervous system settles into motion. You make it a rule: I don't wait, I don't stall. I do what needs to be done, especially when I don't feel like it. That is my identity now. Rule 3. Protect your focus like your future depends on it. It does. Your focus is not just a productivity tool or a way to be more efficient. Your focus is your identity in action. It's your ability to direct your energy, your attention, and your decision-making into something that matters without breaking, without leaking, without fracturing into a million pieces every time the world knocks on your door. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you consistently focus on. You don't live the life you dream of. You live the one your attention allows. If you are scattered, if you are constantly pulled in different directions, if you are interrupted every 5 minutes, you simply cannot expect to build anything great. You are divided, and divided people don't lead, they don't create, they don't sustain, they chase, they stall, and they fumble. Most people never win the day because they can't even win a single hour. They move from task to task, thought to thought, never staying anywhere long enough to build traction, long enough to enter a state of flow, long enough to access depth. The more pressure you're under, you become in reps with clear boundaries and by pushing through resistance. It doesn't just happen, it is built, and it begins with a series of ruthless decisions. What do I allow into my space? What steals my attention? What strengthens it? Where does my energy leak, and what am I willing to do about it? You build walls around your deep work. You enter it like a ritual. You sit down with a mission, and you guard that space like it's a war zone. Because in the modern world it is. You create time blocks, focused, undistracted periods of work. You're not just working. You're training your brain to stay, to wrestle with a challenge without running for the easy escape of a distraction. That staying power is what separates amateurs from pros. In a world addicted to interruption, focus is your superpower. It makes you dangerous. While everyone else is switching channels, you are finishing. While everyone else is scanning the surface, you are solving the core problem. While everyone else is reactive, you are intentional. But that edge doesn't last on its own. You have to protect it. Every day, you wake up and recommit to it, because the world is designed to distract you. The systems are built to hijack your attention. If you don't consciously opt out, you will default to distraction. So you make this a rule. You say yes to your focus, your priority, and your vision, which means saying a clear and unapologetic no to almost everything else. Rule 4. Stop negotiating with your excuses. Every day, at some point, your mind will offer you an out. It will present a story, a reason, a perfectly crafted backdoor excuse to escape responsibility. And it will sound so rational. It will feel like self-care. It will sound like logic, but it's not. It is the old version of you, fighting to survive inside the new one. Your excuses are not random thoughts. They are rehearsed, conditioned, and practiced lines from a script your nervous system wrote years ago to protect you from discomfort. And now, every time you try to raise your standard, that script shows up to keep you safe, to keep you small, to keep you from changing. But you are not here for safety. You are here to build. And building requires sacrifice not just of your time or energy, but of your lies. You have to be willing to sacrifice the stories that used to work. You have to be willing to betray the part of you that still wants to stay average. That begins with this rule: no negotiations. You do not entertain the excuse. You don't talk it out. You don't weigh the pros and cons of quitting. You do not give it oxygen. The second you hear it, you shut it down. You don't argue with it. You replace it with immediate action. You build a system, a simple command that interrupts the pattern. Not today. I don't negotiate with my feelings. That's not who I am anymore. You pick the words that have an edge and you say them like you mean it. Because excuses only survive in ambiguity. They thrive when your identity is soft and your standards are loose. But when you fully decide what your rules are, the excuses get quieter. The delay gets shorter. The gap between decision and action collapses. That's when you start to change.